There is a massive update in the Air India plane crash investigation. According to this report in the Economic Times, the Indian government may allow the black box of the doomed Boeing 787 Dreamliner to be sent to the United States for further investigation. We will also get you the first quotes from Tata Sons and Air India chairman N. Chandrasekaran on India's biggest ever air disaster.
I just deeply regret that this whole accident happened.
But first, the news of black box possibly being sent to the US has generated a lot of interest and buzz on social media. Some users point out that it should have been sent to a neutral country. Others say that this reflects the lack of proper investigation infrastructure in India. But this is also indicative of the trust and partnership between Indian and US agencies and the common interest of decoding the mystery of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner crash, as any future tragedies must be avoided. AI-171 was on its way from Ahmedabad to London when it crashed within a minute of takeoff, costing 270 lives.
Second is dental characteristics, because teeth can withstand the heat.
The investigators have now found another huge clue concerning the RAT system or the ram air turbine. The Wall Street Journal claims the pilots activated this RAT system, and this happens in case of a dual engine failure or a total electric failure. And we'll tell you more about this in detail. But first, at least one of the black boxes of AI-171 sustained external damage, especially fire-related damage, and it now needs to be sent to the US for further investigation. The investigators had recovered both black boxes, one with flight data and the other with cockpit voice recorder. Now the data is likely to be extracted at the National Safety Transport Board or NTSB laboratory in Washington from the digital flight data recorder, according to the Economic Times report.
We also have GE and Boeing that are deploying their resources and investigators to India.
Even NDTV sources confirm that the government is expected to send the black box to the US. However, it adds that Indian officials are likely to accompany the black box and will be part of the investigation there in America to ensure all protocols are followed. So it's not as if India is simply handing over the investigation to US agencies. The Flight Data Recorder or FDR collects all physical parameters of a flight, including airspeed, altitude, acceleration, heading or direction, and numerous other electronic signals. So FDR has the capabilities of recording and saving thousands and thousands of data points over a 25-hour period. It is a tough task to decode for any normal investigation and becomes even more complex when the black box is damaged, as in this case. The cockpit voice recorder, on the other hand, records pilot communications as well as communications with the ATC or air traffic controllers. Investigators will also focus on the voice recordings for vital clues before the crash. Reports suggest the pilots had sent a mayday call to the Ahmedabad ATC, signaling loss of engine thrust before radio silence. But there is one new piece of evidence that, if true, can change the entire direction of this investigation. The evidence so far shows that the pilots may have been helpless to prevent this catastrophe. Within seconds of takeoff, the Boeing 787 likely suffered from a massive system failure. According to multiple reports, investigation so far has hinted at the RAT system or the ram air turbine being deployed. In other words, it is a small turbine fan on the belly of the aircraft, which is deployed in case of a system failure. This fan generates a limited amount of energy for emergency use in case of a wider catastrophic system shutdown. This may include dual engine failure, total electronics failure, or hydraulic pressure loss. Images of the doomed flight show RAT was likely deployed in the final moments of the flight. This can happen either automatically, or the pilots can also deploy the RAT in case of an emergency.
Which means they were not running or they were at idle thrust.
This rat deployment points at a total system failure on board the Boeing 787 and is certainly not a routine maintenance issue. This was the first fatal clash of Boeing Dreamliner aircraft, which otherwise has had an impeccable safety record since its introduction more than a decade ago. So was there an issue with the engines? Had there been any prior instances to worry about this particular aircraft? Air India chairman N. Chandrasekaran has broken his silence in an interview with Times Now. He claimed, quote, "This particular aircraft, this specific tail AI-171 has a clean history. As for the engines, the right engine was a new engine put in March 2025. The left engine was last serviced in 2023 and due for its next maintenance check in December 2025. Both engines' histories are clean," unquote. He also dismissed reports linking Turkish Technic with maintenance of this aircraft, revealing that none of Air India Dreamliners are serviced by this Turkish company. Instead, they are serviced by AI Engineering Services Limited, which is an Indian MRO company, or the SIA Engineering Company, which comes under Singapore Airlines. Air India further adds that there have been no red flags over any Dreamliners before this fatal incident. Reports also suggest that the investigators believe all of aircraft wings or flaps and other systems were in the correct configuration for takeoff. So far, it is all pointing away from any human error and more towards a sudden catastrophic systems error or a dual engine failure, which is extremely rare. Only bird hits or contaminated fuel could have caused a simultaneous engine failure on two engines which have no prior history of any hiccups. The pilots in their final communication stated, "No thrust and unable to lift." Mr. Chandrasekaran also expressed full confidence in the abilities of experienced pilots on this fateful flight, saying, quote, "Captain Sabharwal had more than 11,500 hours of